3:30. I don't think we're actually going to get all the way to 3:30 unless you just want to hang out and visit. But it's Thursday afternoon. Pybus is going to be open and they're probably already serving. And it's a beautiful day outside and we don't have many of those left.
I do want to thank Myra and Joanne for putting that whole thing together. It's really fun.
All right, so last thing, this wasn't really on the agenda, but it's something I have been working on. You know, I'm finishing up my degree, and that means I've got a lot of book learning in my head right now. But I don't have to teach you about how to teach. But I do want to kind of open up some conversations with you to have with yourself about how you teach and why you teach. I believe we're all very good teachers, but I don't think that anybody can say that they can't be a better teacher. These are questions, you know, as I was going through my courses and I was being asked hard questions that they wanted answers to grade me on, I started asking these questions of myself. I wrote them down throughout this last year. And then I put them all together because I wanted to share them with you to ask yourself. Think about this every time you teach a class or every time you're facing a student. What do I want my students to be able to do and be? And this is where I'm going to get interactive for a second. Who's got something to say about this? What do I want my students to be able to do and be? What is your first thought of that?
They can cope successfully with our society.
Sure. Is one, and right on to the next one, is what on my lesson plan today going to be useful to my students in real life? You don't know how many times I asked that this year. Hopefully we can say that truthfully. When they walk out the door, they're nodding and saying, yeah. What choices did my students make about their learning today? I remember this year, Val, you were talking to me about books that you wanted to introduce your students to, and you said, you know, I've got this book and this book and this book, and I'm not sure what order I'm going to put them in. And I said, why don't you let your students choose?
I think in my class, the best thing for me is to have my students realize that conquering small things is a success, and it will lead to more success with bigger things.
Exactly. The whole experience of the Student Success Center and what that meant as kind of a nucleus for our program last year got me thinking about larger culture. Do our students, all of our students, think they're part of a larger culture? And when I talk about all of our students, I'm thinking about evening students who sneak into the campus from the corner and sneak back out, and it's not very well lit over there. Do they really feel like they're part of us? I mean, we've got a big exciting thing happening in Andrew and Roxana's area now, and I hope it continues at that same pace or better. But do you see a student just sneaking in the corner?
I see teachers feeling like part of us. For 22 years, I didn't feel like I was part of this college.
Okay. Hopefully that's changing and it becomes infectious.
Well, it was a night. Nobody ever saw me.
I want respect. I want to talk about respect really quickly because our program, you're going to see it fall quarter. I'm so excited about this. Our program is starting to get really diverse. Last year, Mimi brought along with her a bunch of students with different kinds of challenges we've never seen before because she works with the hearing impaired. All of a sudden, we started seeing hearing impaired students who knew her coming to the program. Some of our classes, some of our ESL classes are going to have very, very different demographics this year. We're talking Nepalese, we're talking Nigerian, we're talking people you probably didn't even know lived in this region. That's exciting, because now all your students are really going to have to speak English.
Right.
But with diversity comes the conversation about respect. And it comes from students to teachers, from teachers to students, from coworkers to coworkers. So let's really think about respect in all of its options. When we assess, what are we assessing? What are we assessing for? What are we trying to find out about our students, or is it just something we put in front of them because That's what's on our lesson plan. That's the way mom did it. That's the way grandmom did it. What is that assessment for? What has an assessment always been for in this department primarily?
Try to determine where to begin to help our students.
Exactly. And so think of it as like a mini CASAS test. Where's our student right now? How well am I doing in helping them to understand this concept? Do I need to go back? I know with scope and sequence of 10 weeks, which never seems long enough, going back seems like this crazy idea because I've got to keep going. But I'd almost rather have you do the same 5 weeks twice and they really understand it. Because if they really understand it, they'll be able to use it and apply it, and the assessments will show it, and they'll level up, they'll move onward. Do students have chances to reflect on their learning? I touched on this with EL Civics. What does it all mean to that student? Can that student display to you that they understood that it has a personal meaning to them? That's what contextualization is. This one is big, and right now I feel like a culprit. How much of the class is me talking and doing versus how much of it is the students talking and doing? I'm guilty of this. I find myself talking a lot.
What do you think the ratio should be?
That's going to be up to your students, quite honestly. I expect in basic ESL, you're going to be pulling on them very hard. When we're talking about advanced reading, writing, and math, you might be surprised. They might be ready to run the whole show by themselves with your facilitation, with your guiding, with your kind of guardrails on the side so it doesn't go off the road. But let's explore that. Because if students take the reins to some extent, our students are adults, for one thing. We should be teaching them to take the reins. Here's another big one. Which one of your students show up ready to go? They're ready. They're there 5 minutes early and they're like, teach me. And which one of your students wander in 20 minutes late without their book, looking like they don't want to be there? How do we turn the one into the other? And then have this conversation with yourself. Which one am I? I found a couple of times last winter quarter that I got into class and I'm like, how do we turn that around for ourselves? Do we need like accountability partners, people who check upon each other? That goes back to larger culture, right? These are all conversations we can have with each other, have with ourselves, be honest with ourselves. Because if we're more successful in our classrooms, that leads back to the whole student more successful thing, right? And this one, I'm going to hit this one more time. I can't be happier at the fact that all these bright ideas, all these cool things that we're doing this year came from you. I didn't have to do anything except type a couple of memos and sit in a couple of long meetings with Rick, who can talk.
Well, there is more to it than that, Aaron, and one of them is you have to be open to listening. And we haven't always had that here.
Well, I don't care what happened before me.
Okay.
All I care that happens is you keep coming. Just today, a faculty member came to me with an idea that I hadn't even thought about. Happened to her in the shower, of course. I'm getting showers put in down here in the old supply room. If you need an idea, go get a shower. I want you to keep exploring, keep innovating. That's how we're going to get back in front of things. I like telling this story. Dr. Schiffner came on board. Her first day, we were all up on the 3rd floor in the big boardroom. It was the big meet and greet thing. And here was my introduction. Hi, I'm Aaron. I run the Adult Basic Skills Department, which is 3 to 5 years behind every other basic skills department in the state.
Wow.
Is that really the real sort of thing you want to tell the boss on the first day?
Yes.
Yes. I hope you know by now, I'm honest, I'm transparent, and I just want the best for this program. Let's try new things. Let's be crazy. Let's be daring. That's what's going to get us out in front. None of these things that were 3 to 5 years behind would have happened if somebody just like you had been crazy and daring and willing to go someplace new with their students to help them be more successful. I'm trying to light a fire under you and just be with your students this year to do new successful things. Because it tickled me pink, it tickled me pink if one of these ideas you're coming up with just is the next big thing. I know that already Myra and Joanne's keys to success are all across the state because people saw that and they're like, wow, this is really cool. And you're probably still getting people every once in a while emailing
I'm
you.
waiting for that last Spanish version and then there'll be a new wave.
And then you have to work with those other languages, since
Oh, mercy.
evidently there are other language groups coming in
Yeah,
here.
yes, it's true. And that's back to our culture of respect. Anyway, so this is a year of just me blathering on paper. Hopefully it starts some conversations in your groups, in your concentration areas. Rely on each other. We've got, like Rick said, seasoned and new. We've got people coming from other walks of life now, other places. Like, for example, Kara Hackenmiller, I'm really excited to get her working with you. She's been working on Common Core for the last couple of years in the K-12. Let's see what that looks like. Is there something there we can use? I'm really excited to see how you guys take to the new EL Civics mode and what that comes across as. I can't wait to open up that first course binder and say, yes, this is exactly what I was looking for. But all of y'all came up with that. I'm not that bright. I just push paper for a living. Right, you don't buy that. Anyway. But I can feel the momentum. I talked about that bowling ball. We're pushing it off the edge of the hill right now. And in 2 or 3 years, we're not gonna, I won't be shaking whoever's new hand and saying we're 3 to 5 years behind. I might be looking them in the eye and saying we're 3 to 5 years ahead of the rest of the state. And I want you to be able to do that too when you go to wherever. Like, for example, here's my initial pitch. Start thinking about it. ABE Rendezvous will be happening next summer, okay? The couple of you that went this last summer had a ball. That's why Peter, acts like this is his first year on faculty. And so
it changed my job entirely as well.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. So if you're interested in going, start thinking about it now, next July again, I imagine.
In Yakima.
In Yakima, great. We don't have to drive too far either. I love Yakima Convention Center again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet, they have great food too. I even know a good hotel to stay at. So start thinking about that, getting excited about that. Yes, Shirley?
As long as our state representative is here, I will say, I thought about going to that one year, and I kept waiting for the agenda. What's it gonna be about? They never publish an agenda ahead of time,
Well,
and I did
will
not
say-
go.
Well, ABE has, you may know that a couple of years ago, we got a new director, John Kerr.
And it makes a difference, does it?
John Kerr believes in planning 2 years ahead.
Good.
And our former director believed in allowing maximum flexibility, which meant not putting things down on paper too far in advance.
Yeah,
So the work is already being done to plan rendezvous.
thank you.
All right.
And I will also bring that back, because I'm gonna be in Olympia most of October.
Okay.
And I'll look into the camera now. For all our offsites, people who are not here, that includes you, any of our partner and volunteer programs. If you've got somebody who you think would really benefit to represent your program, shoot me an email, we'll get you in here. We're going to turn back off the cameras. We're going to allow a little bit of free flow, faculty-led conversation for the next couple of minutes. If you've had enough and you want to leave, you're free to leave. But hopefully, the door will be open until 3 to share and collaborate, and then see you on Monday.
Can I just say a few words about
Yeah.